So as I understand it, tomorrow night, Saturday night, December the 10th, maybe the 11th. Lose track of the dates. I don't need to know dates anymore. No longer have that 9 to 5 or overnight job where I need to know dates. Now, every day is just the next day. It's all college football days. All right, yes. Tomorrow night, Saturday night, we will suddenly know who the best player in college football is. So does that excite you? Do you care who wins the Heisman Trophy? Have you ever cared who won the Heisman Trophy? There was a point in my life in which I cared who won the Heisman Trophy. I specifically remember in 1995 that when Eddie George won the Heisman Trophy, just 1 week, possibly 2 weeks following Ohio State's crushing loss as an 11-0 team to Michigan and Tim Biakabatuka, that Ohio State and Eddie George won the Heisman Trophy. And I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic. So I have been a college football fan to witness 2 Ohio State Heisman trophies. They would be Eddie in 95 and Troy Smith in 2006. So do you care who wins the Heisman Trophy? I remember in 1989, man, I'm dating myself. I do this a lot, don't I? 1989, I was in college and dating a young lady, and I had particular plans, or she had plans for us on the night of the Heisman Trophy presentation, and I was kind of pissed off about that. I cared about the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman Trophy meant something to me. I do think that there is, with the Heisman Trophy, much like a lot of aspects of college football, there is a royalty, an illustrious quality, a regality. Look it up. Regality that is present in college football. Pageantry that doesn't exist in the other sports, doesn't exist at the NFL level, does not exist in basketball on any level, certainly not in the NBA. Baseball's a different deal. Baseball has an illustrious past, of course, as the national pastime. Certainly was the national pastime for many, many decades. I don't know that it necessarily is now, but there's something different about the Heisman Trophy. Even though it is probably given to the wrong player more so than any other sport, any other level. The MVP of various leagues, whether it be the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, and what is it, the Naismith Award, I believe, in college basketball, which I have not paid any attention to in forever. I would think that they get it right more often because, for one thing, there is not a off-season NFL MVP watch, Major League Baseball MVP, NBA MVP watch. Like, these are the only players that could possibly win the NFL MVP. No, they just play the NFL season and then determine when the season's over who should win the MVP, who's the best player. We have a strange tradition of sorts in college football where we have to know before. It's like the rankings. It's like the rankings. It's like our perception about everything concerning college football, and it also goes into the awards approach that we have to have some kind of watch list. Why would you have a watch list? Like we're being told before the season starts, these are the wide receivers to watch. these are the defensive backs to watch. These are the this to watch and the that to watch. Why don't we just watch the games? I understand there's a volume of players and teams to deal with. I understand that. But we're already targeting certain players. We're already telling the voters, the media, the fans to focus on certain people. There's a Heisman list. There's a Heisman watch. There's a Heisman favorite. Unlike any other sport, this does not happen with the other sports. They just play the season, and whoever wins the MVP wins the MVP based on the performance on the field. Now, it eventually concludes in a way in which we award the Heisman Trophy to somebody who deserves it, whether I personally believe that they should win the Heisman Trophy or they should be second. I've never seen a situation in which we handed a Heisman Trophy, at least during my lifetime. It's happened in the past, in the distant past, and we'll talk about that. A Heisman Trophy has been awarded to somebody who's just should have no way been honored. So the Heisman Trophy, does it matter to you? I do believe it's the most prestigious award in sports, even though I have some issues with it. I have issues with the people that vote for it. Not all of them, but many of the people who vote for it. Not all of those people are college football experts. They are not. There are many examples out there of people that are not college football experts. And even the people that work within the college football industry, many of them, unlike myself and others, do not have a national perspective. They go to their team's game every week. I've laid out this in the past. I've laid out the day of a media person that follows one team. The media person, let's say the sports guy in Columbia, South Carolina. The sports guy in Columbia, South Carolina, if South Carolina is playing a 3:30 ESPN football game, 3:30 Eastern time, that Columbia, South Carolina guy, he's going to be at the game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's going to leave the station at noon, 12:30. He's going to arrive at the station to get geared up and packed up at 11 o'clock in the morning. Football doesn't start till noon. He doesn't see any football from anywhere else. And then at 3:30 in the afternoon, he's watching that South Carolina from the press box or from the sideline. And for the next 3.5 hours, he's watching South Carolina football and merely hearing some scores. And maybe at halftime, while he's having his pizza in the press box, he will watch 10 to 12 minutes of some other game. He'll get to see Georgia and Tennessee for 10 or 12 minutes. And because it's South Carolina, and because the people covering South Carolina care about the SEC, he'll get more news and information about the SEC than anywhere else. And that will be part of his bias. And then the game's over at 7:15. He's got to go to the locker room. He's got to go to the news conference to get the coach's comments. He's got to put together stories for the 10 or 11 o'clock news. He has spent his entire day consumed in South Carolina football. He sees nothing else. I know this. I witnessed this for 7 years. So that's a problem with the Heisman vote. That's why it's regionalized. People are biased. That's why it's regionalized. There's not anything magical to people in the Southeast just voting for players in the Southeast because it just happens to be coincidence. And writers and voters from Big Ten country more so vote for Big Ten players. It's because they're all biased. Or it wouldn't happen like that. It would be random. It's not. So the Heisman Trophy will be awarded tomorrow. And unfortunately, we've got no drama concerning this. Much like the college football playoff selections, no drama. Bryce Young is your 2021 Heisman Trophy winner. and I have no issue with that. I have an issue with the award going to the best player in the country because it goes to the best quarterback in the country. Sometimes a wide receiver last year, sometimes a running back. When is the last time a running back won the Heisman Trophy? 2015, Derrick Henry. Been a long time. A running back used to win it when I was growing up. When I first got into college football, a running back always won the Heisman Trophy. Going back to the early 70s, that run of running backs started in the early 70s and did not end until 1984. Doug Flutie. Put him on my list as delivering the most overrated player in the history of college football, which won him a Heisman Trophy. Not that he did not have an outstanding season. Not that he did not lead Boston College to an improbable 10-2 record and Cotton Bowl victory. All very impressive. But if you're looking at championships, all very non-impactful. None of his plays impacted the national championship race. They did not impact a conference championship race. Boston College was an independent at the time. Doug Flutie just played entertaining football. Was he the best player in college football? Probably not. Keith Byers, Ohio State, was most likely the best player in college football that particular season, at least a skill position player. Again, those are the only players that win the Heisman. Doug Flutie delivered the memorable Hail Mary against Miami the Friday after Thanksgiving. What was so great about that? Just a lot of people watched the game. A lot of people watched that game. It was Miami, it was Boston College, which didn't really matter. Neither team was that good. They were good teams. They were top 15 teams. They weren't great. They did not impact the national championship race. Just a lot of people watched the game. A lot of people watched the game. A game between an 8-4 Miami team and an 8-2 Boston College team. Big deal. And it was your typical Hail Mary, which Hail Marys are exciting. They're exciting. All Hail Marys are exciting, but how often do we see Hail Marys? It was last season or maybe the season before. It seemed like there were about 3 per week. So they're rare, but they're not miraculous. And Doug Flutie was given a whole lot of credit for one pass, and he won a Heisman Trophy because of it. Had a great season, won a Heisman Trophy on one pass, on just chucking it blindly into the end zone. So that is a Heisman Trophy moment that I have issue with, the most overrated play in the history of college football. Second would be Jadeveon Clowney against Michigan in the Outback Bowl in 2013 against Fitz Toussaint. Jadeveon Clowney is just a monster of a man who ran through a 5'9" running back without being blocked. Just about every defensive end in the country would have made that play. Maybe not as spectacularly, but they would have made that play because Jadeveon Clowney was not blocked. He just ran through another football player. Overrated play. 1995 could be debated between Eddie George, who ran for almost 2,000 yards and had a 314-yard game against Illinois. Huge season for Eddie George, Ohio State in 1995, and Tommy Frazier. Tommy Frazier played quarterback, so he had a more meaningful season. He was a leader on a football team and played quarterback, so he had control of the offense. And he had an outstanding season, and of course, his team went on to win the national championship. Had the vote come after the national championship game, I have no doubt Tommy Frazier would have won the 1995 Heisman Trophy. In 1975, Archie Griffin, Ohio State, won the Heisman Trophy. And did he deserve it? Did he earn it? Well, he was the 74 Heisman Trophy winner, so he had a leg up, possibly being, I don't know if he was the first. He was one of the first juniors to win the Heisman Trophy in 1974, Archie Griffin at Ohio State. Look up Archie Griffin's stats in 1975. Check them out. They're good. They're really good. But check out one particular number on Archie Griffin's line in 1975. You'll be surprised. That's all I'm going to say. You will be surprised. And then check out the other running backs that played for Ohio State in 1975. You will find something there that will blow you away in terms of who won the Heisman Trophy that year. Archie Griffin, 1975, his second Heisman Trophy. And I say that somewhat not criticizing Archie Griffin, but the selection of him as the winner that year. Keep in mind that I have a ridiculous amount of respect for Archie Griffin, the player, and also Archie Griffin, the man. I've told the story on here a couple times in which Archie Griffin in 1991 or two, I believe 1992, signed a book for me. Actually, I did not ask for the book to be signed. I'm not a book signing kind of guy. Like, I want your signature, autograph. That doesn't matter to me. But my fiance at the time, she arranged for Archie Griffin to sign a book that she purchased for me. So that was very special. And then lo and behold, who would have thought? It was ironic that it must have been about 5, 6, 7 years later, about 1998, in that range, 98, 99, that I was hosting a Fellowship of Christian Athletes banquet in Mississippi. And Archie Griffin was the keynote speaker. Therefore, I got to meet Archie Griffin, and I asked him to come down to the TV station for my sportscast that night. And this was one of these times when I completely abused my power as the sports director, and I did not report on the sports going on that day. I did not. We said, screw it. I'm talking to Archie Griffin during the sportscast. I am talking to a Buckeye legend. I've got him right here. He's been kind enough to come down to the station, which was so kind. But that's my story of Archie Griffin. I'll not elaborate and bore everyone, but that's my brush with Archie Griffin. In 2015, Derrick Henry earned a Heisman Trophy as running back of Alabama, but I believe somebody earned it more, Christian McCaffrey of Stanford. You have to look beyond the statistics that year. Derrick Henry has proven since to be an amazing running back, but had the typical Alabama running back that was in line with what Nick Saban's running backs had produced before that, with Glenn Coffey, Mark Ingram, TJ Yeldon, Eddie Lacy, those running backs. Derrick Henry was the next one in line. Yes, he went beyond them, but Christian McCaffrey at Stanford was a one-man wrecking crew, and Stanford became a tremendous team because of him. So I would have voted for Christian McCaffrey, and if you search for it on my channel, I guarantee you could find my plea for Christian McCaffrey in the 2015 Heisman race. Much like the next season, who won the Heisman Trophy in 2016, everyone? 2016. He's a star quarterback in the NFL right now. Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy. And you say, Mark, you did not believe that Lamar Jackson should have won the Heisman Trophy in 2016? No, I do not. Look at the stats, which will cause you probably to say even more so, Mark, yes, look at the stats. My eyes are popping out. They are ridiculous. Yeah. Lamar Jackson was not the best player in the country. He was not the most valuable player in the country. He was not the best player in the conference. He ran around. He scored a lot of points, scored a lot of touchdowns. He made a lot of mistakes throwing the ball that year, especially late in the season. Louisville was primed for a huge season, and Lamar Jackson had a weak stretch drive against Houston and against Kentucky in particular. And I know it doesn't count because it was after the vote, but he had a bad bowl game as well against LSU. LSU really shut him down. They only scored 9 points in that game. Deshaun Watson should have won the Heisman Trophy in 2016. Deshaun Watson in 2016. I would have voted for the future Texans quarterback. He was phenomenal. He carried that team to a national championship game win against Alabama. Again, I know that the playoffs and the championship game came afterwards, but Deshaun Watson, 2016, there's your winner. And then, of course, there's the infamous 1956 Heisman Trophy. Now I'm getting people to listen to me. I believe 1956, we all can talk about 1956, of course. One of the great years in American music history, of course. That was groundbreaking, but we're not talking music. We're talking the Heisman Trophy. If you're not aware, first of all, do you know who won the Heisman Trophy in 1956? 1956. That's my clue right there. Not only the Golden Domer, because he played for Notre Dame, but the Golden Boy. Who's the Golden Boy? A little college football 101 tonight. Little educational. The Golden Boy. I should probably check the live chat. Who can get the Golden Boy without going on Google? Bam. There's Brian. Got it. One Scoop John. Got it. Yes, Paul Hornung. Does anybody know, as Paul Hornung was one of the great NFL running backs, and I use the term great in quotes because, again, that might be a bit of a misnomer, but he is a NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer. That's another story for another time in terms of rating players accurately all time. Paul Hornung was the quarterback at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, of course, had a great record that year in 1956, of course, right? So Paul Hornung in 1956, quarterback Notre Dame. Guess how many touchdowns he threw? And I understand it was not a passing age, but there were still quarterbacks out there throwing 15, 16 touchdown passes in a season. Paul Hornung threw how many touchdowns and how many picks? David's got it. Jim Brown got snubbed. Paul Hornung threw 3 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So he must have run for like 30 touchdowns, right? No, he ran for like 11, maybe 9, something like that. 3 touchdowns, 13 picks. And again, different age, but that was even back then. That was a horrible touchdown to pick ratio. Horrible. Even then, 3 touchdowns, 13 picks for a 2-8 team. How in the world does somebody win the Heisman Trophy? You wouldn't even need to know what anybody else's statistics were. You could just surmise that, well, if this guy's a quarterback and he threw 3 touchdowns and 13 picks and his team went 2-8, there would have to be, just by sheer logic, other players. Even if every game in the entire college football season was 6-0, then give it to some great defensive player. Paul Hornung, 1956. Yes, Jim Brown, most likely. I haven't done a deep dive, but if you look at the Heisman contenders and the guys that got the most votes, Jim Brown seems to have had the best season. And I say that trying to take any kind of future bias, hindsight into it, because, of course, we all know that Jim Brown is arguably the greatest in the history of the NFL. So it's easy to say, well, of course you give it to Jim Brown. He won the Heisman. He earned the Heisman Trophy. But yes, a lot of good comments coming in here. I got a few in there I don't necessarily understand. But Cheryl, Jim Brown did not even wear pads on his legs. Tough guy. Yes, that's a good call by you, Cheryl. One Scoop John, good point on Paul Hornung. Super versatile player. Okay, Paul Hornung then went to the NFL, and he did this, of course, in college as well. He led the NFL in points scored, I believe, 2 separate seasons. He was the MVP 1 year because he rushed for 600-700 yards. But then he also caught passes out of the backfield, which was not completely uncommon, but it wasn't as frequent as it is now for running backs to catch like 40 passes. And then he also kicked field goals. While I'm on a rampage against Paul Hornung right now, and rest in peace, Paul. Sorry, you're a legend. Not trying to diminish your legend, but just telling the truth. That's what we do here at the Voice of College Football. We tell the truth. This is one of the funniest statistics in the history of the NFL. Paul Hornung one year led the NFL in field goals attempted, 38. This was about 1964, 65, somewhere in that range. Look it up. Attempted 38 field goals. He made, guess how many he made? Anybody? 38 field goals attempted by Paul Hornung. He made 12 field goals. So do I blame Paul Hornung for that? No, I blame his brilliant head coach, Vince Lombardi, who's arguably the greatest of all time. Why did you keep sending him out there to attempt 38 field goals to lead the league if you're only going to make 12? But again, it worked out for Vince Lombardi as well. Thanks for the guesses there, everyone. I appreciate you guys playing along. You guys are phenomenal in humoring me tonight in a lot of topics that you probably don't care about that I do. James, appreciate you being here, the Voice of College Football. Good to see James Warner, big Buckeyes fan. George Rogers, 1980 winner, of course, won the away playing for an above average South Carolina team. He was a beast. Yes, 1980, of course, was a bit controversial because what you had working there was Herschel Walker was probably the best player. But freshmen did not win the Heisman Trophy back then. A freshman to win the Heisman Trophy. So Herschel Walker probably, I can't recite their statistics, but Herschel Walker led an undefeated Georgia team that went on and won the Sugar Bowl and were voted number 1 national champions. Freshman, though, George Rogers' team was 8-3, which for South Carolina back then was doing something and would be really good in doing something for South Carolina and Shane Beamer right now, 8-3. Also, Hugh Green gained a ton of attention in 1980 as being a possible Heisman. He was a Heisman candidate, and it was totally unheard of at that point as well. A defensive player making his presence felt and getting Heisman attention. Hugh Green, Pitt, the great Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So we've got Lazarus here. The 1975 Heisman should have went to Ricky Bell, 1,900 plus yards rushing and 13 touchdowns, or Tony Dorsett. Archie Griffin should not have won it. So Lazarus, thank you so much for adding to our discussion right here in our debate. Archie Griffin scored how many touchdowns in 1975 as he won the Heisman Trophy? A Heisman Trophy winning running back in 1975 scored how many touchdowns? M. Turner's here. I don't even wear a cup at the dinner table. What am I getting into here? Lewis was a notoriously awful, horrible field goal kicker. Atrocious you were, Lewis. Absolutely. You and Paul Hornung, sorry. Lewis, you're an amazing guy. You're a team player. Like Lou Groza, excellent guard, offensive guard, but not kicker. But Lou Groza was a great kicker by the standards back then. Bama Boy is here. David's here. Chiming in with his Heisman moment here, his Heisman memory. Barry Sanders, 1988, might be the greatest season by a running back ever, like 2,300 yards, I believe. The all-time, did this get broken? Did this get broken recently? Melvin Gordon, did not Melvin Gordon set the all-time rushing record in 2014? and did not win the Heisman. 2014 would have been Jameis Winston was 13. Why am I forgetting 14? 14 was Marcus Mariota. I don't believe that, of course, Mariota won the Heisman. Melvin Gordon played for a Wisconsin team that lost 4 games. I think they went 9-4. And he ran over Auburn in the Outback Bowl. And I believe he set and broke Barry Sanders' all-time rushing single season mark. But yeah, Barry Sanders rushed, like back then, 2,300 yards and 27 touchdowns, whatever it was. Crazy. Marcus Allen had a ridiculous rushing total in 1981 when he won the Heisman Trophy. Interesting that Marcus Allen, just a couple years earlier, was the blocking back, the fullback, who blocked for Charles White when he won the Heisman Trophy in 1979. The famous Sports Illustrated cover showed Billy Sims of Oklahoma, who won the 78 Heisman, and Charles White, who would then eventually win the 79 Heisman Trophy, battling over the Heisman Trophy. They both had a leg, and it said, "Hey man, that's my Heisman," I believe was the quote on the cover of SI. Hey everyone, George liked the video. He liked it. Please everybody do the same. Oh boy, here's a good one right here. You guys are pulling through for me right here. You guys are doing an amazing job following through on this conversation. Love this here. We've got her CC Cuz. Troy Davis got snubbed twice. Yeah, Troy Davis of Iowa State. He notched these ridiculous rushing games too, but he played in obscurity. He was probably top 3 to 4 in the voting. And that would have been 1986-7, I believe, for Troy Davis, if I'm remembering correctly. Bama boys here. Good to see you, Bama boy. Cincinnati's about to get physically beat down. Saban has too much. That would be 2 O's, G Bama boy. Too much time to prepare for that elementary offense. I spoke with the Rivals Cincinnati writer today, Jason, I don't remember Jason's last name. Jason Stam from Bearcat Report on Rivals. We spoke today, recorded that segment. So our Cincinnati preview will be coming your way. We've recorded this week Alabama preview, Cincinnati preview, Michigan State preview, Clemson, Iowa State, and a bunch of other teams I can't remember. Ohio State, Michigan. And while I'm going to continue with the Heisman conversation, and thank you so much, Alan, for liking the video as well, as you always do, and encourage others to do. I'll interrupt our Heisman conversation with asking everyone who, especially you who root for either Ohio State or Notre Dame, if you caught the comments that were made by, and I believe this was actually a written statement by Marcus Freeman, which I found, I don't have a word for it. Not that interesting. Not that annoying. Curious. I found them curious. As the saying goes these days, Marcus threw shade on Ohio State, his alma mater. And as many people pointed out to me when I posted this video about 4 or 5 hours ago, and check it out, please. I think it's a decent video. I at least expressed my opinion on the words that Marcus Freeman wrote or stated about Ohio State. And so check it out. And then if anybody wants to comment here or when we start up the call-in line, if you guys would like to call in, We can talk about the Marcus Freeman, Ohio State back and forth, the Ohio State fan base not happy with Marcus Freeman. I'm not going to say that I'm mad at Marcus Freeman. I just think it was a bit Bush League for a very classy guy, a guy that I'm not going to say that I have firsthand knowledge that he's classy. From everything that I'm told, he is a classy and intelligent individual. And at the age of 35 has ascended to the head coaching position at Notre Dame. So he must be doing something right. And again, based on all feedback, by all accounts, Marcus Freeman is a first-class individual who, in my opinion, said something rather stupid. It's not going to hurt him. It's not the end of the world. It's not a huge deal, but it was not a class move. I'm not going to say it was classless. I'm going to say it was not a class move. But I don't necessarily, even though I called it at one point, I did not call it, I don't believe in the video, stupid. I just said that it was not classy. It was not wise. Oh, man, I'm behind. One scoop. John believes Chase Young probably should have gotten the Heisman Trophy. That would have been in 2019. Joe Burrow had something to say about that. I cannot unseat Joe Burrow as the Heisman Trophy winner with 60 touchdown passes, especially just considering if you watched Joe Burrow that season against that schedule, that was one of the more impressive seasons in the history of college football. Joe Burrow was a man. Charisse is not afraid to face Alabama because they struggled against Auburn. Should Alabama not be faced? Man, I'm mixing up my words tonight. Should Alabama, bear with me. I'll try to work out this English language thing. Should Alabama maybe not be afraid of Cincinnati because they struggled with, Tulane, Navy, Tulsa? Dave was at the Rocket game where he won the Heisman against Michigan. I hate to break this to you, Dave, unless I'm missing something here. Rocket Ismail did not win the Heisman Trophy. So Rocket Ismail was at Notre Dame in the late 80s. Now, Tim Brown won the Heisman Trophy in 1987. Then we had Barry Sanders in 88. Andre Ware of Houston in 89. 1990 was Ty Detmer. 91 was Desmond Howard of Michigan. So Rocket Ismail was supposed to win the Heisman Trophy. He was touted and promoted to win the Heisman Trophy, but he did not win the Heisman Trophy. Rocket Ismail did not. You might be thinking of Tim Brown, or you're just thinking of the big game that Rocket Ismail had. And I believe, I'm guessing it was 1989 against Michigan. But Andre Ware threw for like 5,000 yards, 4,500 yards, and 35, 40 touchdowns, which was ridiculous at the time, and won the Heisman Trophy. Uncle Rico. Okay. Yes. I stated a number of reasons why Marcus Freeman should be indebted to Ohio State. I'm not talking about begging and groveling and pleading and crying about it, but basically giving some honor to his alma mater to say, hey, this helped bring me to this point. This was pivotal. This was key. These 4 years in setting me up for where I now reside, which is as a 35-year-old coach at the pinnacle of college football, head coach at Notre Dame. And I was a player at Ohio State who met Luke Fickell, then connected with him, was taken under his wing, got the job at Cincinnati, and all those things. And to your point, Uncle Rico got his job at Cincinnati from Luke Fickell from Ohio State, made that connection there. And now people have alerted me to met his wife at Ohio State, in which they have 6 children and they're still married. So that seems fairly significant. Playing career, first coaching experience, the connection that would lead to all the great things that have ensued since, met his wife and mother of 6 children. That would seem to be not just significant, but positive. And then on top of that, think about this. Ohio State, Notre Dame fans, college football people in general. While Marcus Freeman was playing 3 years of college football at Ohio State, the Buckeyes went 12-1 and won the Big Ten championship in 2006 and on to a BCS championship game. In 2007, they went 11-2, finished again in the top 5 in the nation, Big Ten champion, and went to a BCS championship game, and then had a horrible 2008 in which they finished in the top 10 in the nation, won the Big Ten championship, and went to the Fiesta Bowl. Those 3 teams won 3 Big Ten championships, went to 2 BCS championship games, went to 3 BCS bowl games, finished 33-6, and owned the Big Ten. Marcus Freeman could have opted, as he now regrets, could have chosen to go to Notre Dame and gone 20-18 and played in obscurity, relative obscurity, playing at Notre Dame, relative obscurity, 20-18. No comparison between the 2 programs at the time. Red Wine says Ohio State loves Archie Griffin. Texas loves Earl Campbell. USC probably loves OJ. Dave says that every team that got into the college football playoff would have been in the top 4 using the BCS formula. Charisse is pulling for those Cincinnati Bearcats. I hope it's a good game. I hope and pray it's a good game. Be a good game. We've got Maudie here. Did I pronounce that correctly? I hope so. Maudie. Go Blue. Hey, Mark, any chance Aiden will win the Heisman Trophy? Well, there's always a chance, but that chance is slim, none, and they both left town. No, Aiden Hutchinson will not win the Heisman Trophy. For a defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy, they have to do Herculean type feats. Aiden Hutchinson, outstanding, amazing, great player, earned the trip to New York City. Bryce Young is your Heisman Trophy winner. I would be pretty surprised to see otherwise. Dave is telling us that Jim Harbaugh made some crazy remarks about Michigan when he was at Stanford. I do not remember that. David Knight's here tonight. It is great to see David. I hope that he's still here to hear this. So this would have been 1990. Okay, David, thank you so much for that. Clarifying, I was going 89, 1990. Rocket Ismail says that David is saying Rocket Ismail got snubbed for Ty Detmer. What a joke. He threw 5 picks in one game after he won it. Well, that was after he won it, David. After he won it. The litany of players who had horrendous postseason games after winning the Heisman Trophy is substantial. Troy Smith, 06. Awful championship game after winning the Heisman. Vinny Testaverde, 5 picks. 1986 Fiesta Bowl after winning the Heisman, playing for a national championship. Who else? there used to be like this Heisman jinx, but I'm trying to come up with anybody else because Bo Jackson in '85 had a pretty good game. Not outstanding. I think they lost the Cotton Bowl to Texas A&M. '84 Flutie won the Cotton Bowl, had a good game. '83 Mike Rozier lost the national championship game in the Orange Bowl to Miami. '82 was Herschel. They lost the national championship at the Sugar Bowl after he won the Heisman. Marcus Allen in '81 lost a Fiesta Bowl game to Penn State. 1980 was George Rogers, South Carolina. They got drubbed in the Gator Bowl. So, yeah, a lot of losses. And then if we take it forward, Ty Detmer, 1990, a horrendous Holiday Bowl game after winning the Heisman Trophy. Gino Torretta, of course, in 1992 against Alabama in the Sugar Bowl to lose the national championship through, I don't know that he threw a ton of interceptions, but they only scored 13 points. Awful game for him. Eddie George ran for 100 yards against Tennessee, but didn't have a great game, and they lost to Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl after he won the Heisman in '95. Danny Werfel, though, pulled through with the national championship. Charles Woodson pulled through with a national championship in '97. '98, you had Ron Dane. And we could go through the rest. No, you had Ricky Williams in '98, had a big Cotton Bowl after he won the Heisman. '99 was Ron Dane. They won the Rose Bowl. So you a little bit of both. But there are certainly some bad postseason Heisman games for those particular winners. G. Bama Boy says that Vincent Bo Jackson is the greatest college running back ever. It's right there. Elijah Pitts. Nice by Firmus. There's a blast from the past. Green Bay Packers. Elijah Pitts. I don't know what that's in response to. Okay, we got Tony. Marshall Faulk. Did not win the Heisman Trophy, but was amazing. San Diego State, of course. If you folks would like me to fire up the phone lines, I will. So just let me know. Lazarus is saying that Bo Jackson was nothing compared to OJ in college. VY. Who's that? Oh, Vince Young. Yes. Had the single greatest game I've ever seen in the Rose Bowl against Michigan. Dramatic finish. Game-winning field goal. 37-35 game. 38-37. I think that was the final. Christian McCaffrey. John, if you weren't here, I ran it down in 2015. Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman Trophy, in my opinion. Though close. Troy says, of course, as a Buckeyes fan, stating that Charles Woodson only won half a natty. They were never the real champ, just pointing that out. Never the real champ, where they were as much of a real champion as Nebraska. Check out my video, 1997. I ran it down. You can go back and search probably anything and find a video that I've done on it. 1997. I've reviewed the national championship seasons and the disputed championships from 1983, 84, 90, 91, 96, 2000. And guess what? As soon as we finish this season, we'll get some more out there. Bama Boy believes that all day, Adrian Peterson should have won the Heisman Trophy this his freshman year, but they gave it to his teammate, the OU quarterback. Yes, Jason White. I had a friend, and one of the reasons why I came up with this topic, who texted me and said, I was listening to sports radio today, and they were talking about Heisman snubs. Who would you have included? And I just gave him a list of years in which I would have voted for a different Heisman Trophy winner. Tim Williams, Reggie Bush against Vince Young in 2005. Okay. Let's consider they don't vote for the Heisman Trophy before postseason play. So let's forget what happened in the national championship game in Pasadena. Reggie Bush. This is where I need a producer and graphics person. Someday, folks, someday. They'll give me this information like that, and we'll have graphics up, and you can all see it, but you got to envision this. You got to listen. Reggie Bush in 2005. Of course, Matt Leinart won it in 2004. Bush in 2005. 2005, Reggie Bush ran for 1,740 yards. 8.7 yards per carry. 8.7 yards per carry. 16 touchdowns. He caught 37 passes, 2 more touchdowns. 18 touchdowns. Over 2,200 yards from scrimmage. It's pretty good. Oh, by the way, he averaged almost 18 yards per punt return on 28 punt returns. 18 yards per, I'm sorry, those are kickoff returns. 10 yards per punt return and a touchdown. So he had 19 touchdowns. He had over, oh my goodness, he had over 2,700 yards of offense, total offense, including special teams. So keep that in your head. 19 touchdowns, 8.7 yards per carry. Vince Young, playing quarterback, of course, so that's something right there. That's there's more responsibility. There should be a nod given to the quarterback. I can believe that. I can go with that. Vince Young in 2005 completed 65% of his passes, 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 10 picks. He ran for 12 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 6.8 per carry. So he accounted for 38 touchdowns at the quarterback spot, 10 picks. It's close. So, okay, Tim, I will say that you made the call right there, and you certainly have the stats and the performance to back it up. I just did not want the Rose Bowl national championship game to cloud that. Gino threw 5 picks in that game. Did he really? I knew he had a bad game. I don't think he threw. Are you getting that confused with Vinny Testaverde in the Fiesta Bowl in '86? Gino Torretta. These stats are not great for a Heisman winner. 56% completion percentage, 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. I think we can find somebody better in 1992 to have won the Heisman Trophy. Especially considering he played for the best team, so he was surrounded by great players. Do I not have his game log? Shoot, I don't. I'm going to have to look it up here. We'll find it. We'll find it. Let's go to 1993 Sugar Bowl box score. I don't want a game recap. I want a box score. There we go. I don't think he threw 5 picks. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, that's not a box score. Give me a box score. Is this going to say Wikipedia? I can't find Gino Torretta's stats in that Sugar Bowl. Torretta threw 3 interceptions after only throwing 4 the entire season. 3 interceptions. That's Vinny Testaverde threw 5. So we're all about accuracy here at the Voice of College Football. And certainly appreciate everyone being here. Why do I have those 4 helmets displayed? No reason. Just answering that before anybody asks it. We've got John Doe chiming in with Ndamukong Suh was robbed. Bama Boy says Tom Brady won in overtime. Yes, in the Orange Bowl, 35-34 against a bad Bama team. A bad Bama team that went to the SEC championship game and went to the Orange Bowl. Yes, they were bad. There were a lot worse Bama teams, that's for sure. A lot worse Bama teams. There's Ronan. Yes, we looked that up. I verified. I was right there with you as well. I knew that Gino did not throw 5 picks. Doug Flutie's stats in 1984. So 1984 came down to Flutie, Keith Byers, Ohio State. Now, Byers scored at least 20 touchdowns. He ran for about 1,200 yards, plus he was a good receiver, ran some kicks back, and his team won the Big Ten championship and went to the Rose Bowl. Doug Flutie played for an independent Boston College team. They went to the Cotton Bowl, and they won the Cotton Bowl over Houston that year. Let's see here. Doug Flutie, college stats. I'm going to guess. Before we look. I'm going to say he completed 58% of his passes, and he threw for, I remember he had a huge game against Penn State. He threw for like 500 yards against Penn State. But even with that into consideration, 12 games played, 10-2 record. Doug Flutie probably threw for 300 a game, would be 3,600 yards. I'd say more like 3,200 yards. I'm going to go 31 touchdowns, 12 picks. Doug Flutie, 1984. Oh, I should have guessed what I was going to go with first. That's all right. I said 58%, 60% completion percentage. I said what? 3,200 yards, 34-54, 27 touchdowns, 11 picks. The real Hayden. So that's Doug Flutie in 1984. 60%, 27 TDs, 11 picks, 3,400 yards. The big Hail Mary to beat Miami in a game that was overrated. Didn't mean anything. Keith Byers, again, I believe he's around 12 or 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns. Keith Byers, 1984. Oh. I'm thinking of 83. Yes, this set up his 84 season. Okay. That's what I had stuck in my head. Listen to this 1984 for Keith Byers. 1,700 plus yards rushing, 5.3 per carry, 22 touchdowns, 42 catches, 2 touchdowns. So he scored 24 touchdowns and had over 2,200 yards from scrimmage for a Big Ten championship team. He returned 8 kicks. Okay. Yeah, that's a good argument there. The real MVP is telling me that only Bowl team should have their helmets shown? Okay. Well, that's we're there. We're there. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Florida, LSU. Washington out. Texas out. Bama, let's put them in. Bama get to a bowl game? Bama boy, did you guys make a bowl game this year? Did you finally make it to a bowl game? Clemson, Cheez-It Bowl, very important. Next show, unless something breaks and we've got to talk about, whatever's going on that's breaking news. I believe our next show, we're going to talk about our favorite bowl games, whether that's from the past or we'll talk about our favorite bowl games coming up, our favorite matchups, the games that we're looking forward to the most. Florida State. No, this is not 2016. Did not make a bowl game. 2017 as well. 18, 19, 2000. 4 straight for Florida State. Out. Nebraska. 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 straight. Out. No bowl games for Nebraska and Florida State for 4 and 5 years. Ole Miss. Okay. Kent State. Back in a bowl game. We've got Tennessee there in a bowl game. Wisconsin. USC. Okay, to real MVP. Take note of this. On our side table here are the non-bowl teams. They're off screen. USC, Florida State, Texas, Washington. And then we've got our bowl teams here. Wisconsin, of course, taking on Arizona State. Oh, Miami got kicked to the floor. There they are. Put them up there. And the mighty Tar Heels of North Carolina. Of course, they play a huge bowl game against South Carolina. Enormous game. Super chats coming in. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. We got a question coming in. We've got our guy, Uncle Rico. Look at Uncle Rico there. He looks to be in a, he's either listening to somebody or he's looking off in the distance at something and thinking, huh? Really? Can I believe what I'm seeing here? Yeah. Okay. Why don't you have any Buckeye stickers on your Ohio State helmet? I'm sure you've earned some by now. Have I earned any? I don't know. That's up for you guys to decide whether I've earned any. Here's the real reason, Uncle Rico. I got my Buckeye helmet. They had 2, maybe 3 measly stickers. They didn't give me like 12 stickers that you can, the Buckeyes helmets look especially, they just look right when they're loaded with stickers. My man Art Schlechter used to have just sticker over stickers. He had too many stickers. That's what we want to look. At least give us, I just think the 1 or 2 stickers looks, I didn't want 2 or 3 stickers, so I pitched them. Don't know where they are. They're gone. Yeah, I don't like how that looks either, but I've gotten used to it. I don't think about it anymore. But Uncle Rico, thank you for your concern about the Ohio State helmet. I believe they would be the only team that we have a decal for. Nobody else here on our set has any. James, don't mention Art Schlechter. He's my favorite. Gives me nightmares. Nightmares about what? Now, there's a guy that, although he did not win a Heisman Trophy, look him up. Art Schlechter in 1979, 80, 81, 3 consecutive years, finished in the top 5 Heisman voting. John Doe with the NFL update for us. Colt McCoy, former Texas quarterback, tearing it up in Arizona. Yes. Even Quinn Ewers earned some stickers. Really? David Knight, we need to talk, don't we? Yeah. Tommy Frazier. Yes, I mentioned it, Tommy Frazier, to my friend in my text reply when he asked me which Heisman trophies I would dispute. I would look a little deeper into 1995 in particular. Eddie George won. He almost ran for 2,000 yards. He led a 11-1 football team, but Tommy Frazier probably should have won it. That's a close call. And I believe it was a close Heisman race. In 1996, I can't go Tommy Frazier over Danny Werfel. No. Hang on, Don. Let's look this over. Tommy Frazier in 1996. 96, we're saying, not 95. Why is that not coming up? That's the man's name. Tommy. Is it Tom Frazier? Did they put him up there? Oh, Tommy, i.e. Tommy Frazier. Okay. 19. He didn't play in 96. So you must mean the 95 season that went into the 96 calendar year. Got it. Okay, in 1995, Tommy Frazier completed 56% of his passes, which at the time was okay, decent. 1,300 yards. So he's throwing for a little over 100 yards a game. A little over 100 yards a game passing. About 110 yards passing per game. 17 touchdowns, 4 picks. That's a really good ratio, especially back then. 600 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns. So he accounted for 31 touchdowns, 600 rushing, 1,300 yards passing, 17-4 TD to pick ratio, undefeated team. Eddie George, I can almost recite his numbers. He ran for 1,927, I believe was the number. 1,927. I'm going to guess at about 6.4 yards a carry. Eddie George, 5.9 per carry, 1927, 5.9, 25 touchdowns. 25 touchdowns. That's hard to take the Heisman away from him. It's a good one. It's a close one, and it was a close vote. Charisse is letting us know that Ohio State is going to be playing Utah in the Rose Bowl. The real Hayden, as in Fry, I believe. Do I need to send Mark an Iowa helmet? How does one do that? All right. This is what's going on. I appreciate all of you and would love for all of you to send me more helmets, and then we could just flood it with helmets up here. I need a P.O. box, and I believe that costs money. I looked into that a couple years ago for various reasons, and there was really no reason to get a P.O. box, and I just didn't find it worthy of my money to set up a P.O. box. I don't know if anybody out there has a P.O. box and what that costs. If it costs like $5 a month, I'll get one. But if it costs like $50 a month, I don't really see the reason there. But I'll have to look into that. So that's what would need to happen. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. Yes, Sean, Tyler Goodson has declared for the NFL draft. Yes, Tyler Goodson declared for the NFL draft. We have a video posted on that on our Iowa channel, courtesy Corey Bratta. So check that out. Tyler Goodson leaving Iowa for the NFL draft. There we got the real Hayden. Thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that so much. Yes, do I need to send you an Iowa helmet? How does one do that? Yes. So again, and I apologize to I believe it is somebody out there. Oh, G Dog Forever wants to send me a Georgia helmet. And yes, I got to set up a P.O. box. It would not be the best thing to send out my home address. Yes, I've moved the helmets around just for you to Real MVP. Oh, there's a good one there, Tony. Tony, nice job. Nice work there. I specifically remember this football season because it was the first season I was a sportscaster. I was a news anchor reporter at a small Ohio station in 1991, 2, and 3. Then I went to Mississippi, Steve McNair, Alcorn State, Mississippi. Boy. And we didn't cover him directly. We were really focused on the SEC, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Alabama in particular. But we would show all the highlights of Alcorn State, and it was a big deal. And yes, Steve McNair was phenomenal in 1994. Good call, Tony. Sean, Orlando Pace was the best player in 1996. Yes, he might have been. That's why in football, it's so much more difficult to rate players across positions compared to baseball and basketball. Think about this. In baseball, what happens? Regardless of position, everybody bats. Everybody's got a batting average. Everybody can hit home runs, knock in runs, have runs scored, doubles, triples. All the stats apply for every position on the field. Everybody hits, everybody fields, everybody throws the ball, plays defense and offense. Basketball, yes, there are guards, there are centers, but in today's game, shoot, they all look like they're playing the same position. But even in traditional basketball, with the center in the middle and the forwards and the guards and the power forwards, off guard, shooting guard versus the point guard, all of that, they're positions, but they all do the same thing. They score, they pass, they rebound, they assist, they play defense, man to man, basically. They all accumulate the same stats. How do you compare a left tackle in football with the quarterback, with the running back, with the wide receiver, with the safety, with the corner, with the all the way across the board? So Orlando Pace may have been the best player. And what really proved that out was basically that he was the number one pick in the NFL draft. And then he went on to be one of the greatest linemen in history. I don't know that everyone really grasps that, that he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. So Uncle Rico was telling us that James Skalski is coming back for a 14 season at Clemson. Is it only 14? Thought he was up to like 17. James Skalski is coming back for another season at Clemson. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's fine. Hey, I've always complained my entire life that college football careers were too short, and we didn't get to know these guys because they basically, especially back in the day, they wouldn't play as freshmen, then they would get on the field as sophomores, then they would really become stars in as juniors and seniors, and then they're gone and they're off to the NFL. And I'm loving this conversation, by the way. We don't need to necessarily fire up the phone lines unless you guys want to. I'm good the way it is right here. Yes, when you brought up Chuck Ely, Mark, I'm certainly I knew Chuck Ely, Toledo quarterback. Didn't remember exactly what years he played, but I knew Toledo quarterback Chuck Ely. But before my time, 1969. Not that Paul Hornung and Jim Taylor and Jim Brown and all the other people I mentioned and talked about earlier were not before my time. But Chuck Ely, interesting career here in that he led Toledo for 3 consecutive years. And as Mark is telling us, won 35 straight games in 3 years. Well, according to this, it would have only been 33, but we get the point. Not outstanding statistics if you take them in comparison to today's numbers, but for back then, 1969, 11 TDs, 7 picks. 1970, 16 and 9. 1971, 15 and 13. Threw for about 1,500 yards per season, 50 mid-ish percentage. This is during the time in which who's winning a Heisman Trophy? Jim Plunkett, 1970. Pat Sullivan. We got Dustin here. Thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. I'm having a fun time tonight talking former Heisman winners. Subscribed. Hope you see my first comment about Tom Harmon. That dude, man, is the man's man. Yeah, Tom Harmon. Now, there's a epic name in Michigan lore. Of course, he is the father of Mark Harmon, the famous actor. A little story right here. I'm not going to divulge whom I had this conversation with recently. We're not talking about like a 20-year-old. Talking about somebody fairly close to my age. But I found it very interesting that I was having a conversation with them, and they were watching a movie, and they told me what they were watching, and they mentioned the various actors in the movie. And then I looked up the movie, and when I saw the various actors, I didn't know what actors they were talking about. I do not keep up with Hollywood actors very well. But also acting in the movie was Robert Redford. And I mentioned, well, Robert Redford's in this movie. Who? I said, Robert Redford. Never heard of him. Had never heard of Robert Redford. Okay. So anyway, yes, Tom Harmon. I don't know if we're going to have any stats on Tom Harmon. We're talking the 1930s. Just looking at stats. Now, these aren't going to do Tom Harmon justice as compared to just his exploits. But for the great Michigan Wolverines of 1938, 39, and 40, yeah, his biggest seasons were, let's say, 39, he had almost 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. The next year he had, just about the same, 14 touchdowns. 1 year he caught 4 passes for 110 yards. And I got to think one of those was a touchdown, but maybe not. Says that he did not score a touchdown receiving. Yes, Tom Harmon. Oh, plus he was a passer. Now, if Paul Hornung could win a Heisman Trophy in the late 50s, 1956, throwing 3 touchdowns, Tom Harmon, 15 to 20 years earlier, was throwing 7 touchdown passes in a season. Good call there. Love that one. Also some super chats coming in, and I have to honor our sponsor. I have done a poor job of that tonight. Dave says Andrew Luck not winning it over RG3. Interesting call there. RG3, Andrew Luck. This has happened a few times where 2 quarterbacks battled for the Heisman, then they battled for the #1 selection in the NFL draft. Was a tragedy. Well, Dave, I'm gonna fall short of calling it a tragedy, but Andrew Luck had a way better NFL career. Yes, I don't know that people even right now realize how great Andrew Luck was in the NFL. Look at his numbers in the NFL. He was on his way easily to a Hall of Fame career. Had already led the Colts to an AFC Championship game. And the Ohio State sticker looks more like a marijuana sticker at the helmet. Okay, I'm reading that only because it's on a super chat, Dave. Let's not be saying that about Ohio State sticker. No. But Andrew Luck and RG3. Luck played for the better team. They were more successful that season. So we're talking 2011 when RG3 won the Heisman. Good call here, Dave. I like it. Andrew Luck. This is ridiculous. I did a video a couple of years ago. Look this one up. I did a video on the best quarterbacks of the decade. I ranked the quarterbacks of the 2010 through whatever 19 decade. And Andrew Luck, yes, I'm remembering these numbers from looking them up. 71% completion percentage in 2011. Guys weren't doing that then. 71% completion percentage, 3,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks. And again, we'll credit Andrew Luck, much like Jim Harbaugh, of taking a Stanford program that was not doing well and Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. So yeah, 37 and 10 TD to pick ratio, 71% completion percentage. So keep that in mind. Now, RG3, of course, had a great year. And I remember his opening night game was against, I forget, it was an ESPN game, one of those like Thursday night where the teams aren't great, but it's still a kind of a fun matchup. Baylor against, I'll look it up. I want to see who it is. And that's where he really took the nation by storm, RG3. Look at this, though. I marveled at Andrew Luck completing 71% of his passes in 2011. RG3, 72.4. Now, the Pac-12 then was pretty good. This was 10 years ago. RG3 threw for about 500 more yards. I'm a little surprised than Andrew Luck did. 42.93. 37 touchdowns. They both threw for 37 touchdowns. RG3 threw 4 less picks. And he ran for 10 touchdowns. Sorry, Dave. RG3. I got to go with RG3. Not really remembering what my feeling was, my thought process at the time. I got to think that I was okay with RG3 because that hasn't stuck with me. And I just, I started this show off. And for those of you who join us late, of course, you can go back once a video posts and watch the rest of the live stream that I went through the Heisman snubs in the years in which I would have voted for someone different. And that was not one of them, but less picks, 10 rushing touchdowns, better completion percentage, more yards for RG3. Team was not as good at 8-4, and I really want to know who they played on opening night that year because that's when he really splashed. There it is. TCU. That's it. Baylor, TCU, close game, exciting game. TCU, of course, won the Rose Bowl the year before, was undefeated and won the Rose Bowl over Wisconsin. RG3, 21 of 27, 359, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. That got his Heisman Trophy candidacy off and running. Good one, though, Dave. I like it, but I don't completely agree. Kyle Pickett's in the house. Kyle, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate everybody tonight, whether you're contributing financially or not. It's not about that. I appreciate everybody participating. This, for me, I'm a geek. This is a discussion I love to have. And we've only clicked off one of like 10 bullet points. I've got Marcus Freeman. Will I address that? Okay. I've got Duke hiring Mike Elko as their head coach from Texas A&M. Defensive coordinator goes to Duke. And I know that we have a enormous Duke following here. I know that we have just demands for Duke football content that come into me probably every 10 or 15 minutes. Virginia's hired Tony Elliott, the Clemson offensive line or the offensive coordinator at Clemson. Head coach at Virginia, taking over for Bronco Mendenhall. Big story there. Oregon, will they hire Chip Kelly? We had a conversation with Tony Siracusa from Last Word on College Football. And also Ryan Winter live. Tony joined us as well. We posted some good videos there on the Oregon situation with Dan Lanning, possibly. He's in the mix. And also Chip, BYU, has delivered an extension for Kalani Sitake. Don't you hate it when you take the first letter of the first name and the last name and you juxtapose that? Anyway, Kalani Sitake has a contract extension at BYU after going 10-2 this year, 11-1 last year. Kyle Hamilton, probably the best safety in college football, has declared for the NFL draft. He will not be playing for Marcus Freeman or hearing Marcus Freeman's backlashes against Ohio State in the locker room. And then we've got, of course, a video that I posted today. I've been busting my tail for a change. Today I posted a video not only on Marcus Freeman's comments about Ohio State, but also Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels. If they're both healthy, I set it up as this player versus this player, but we don't know. JT Daniels doesn't appear to be available. He had an oblique and a lat muscle issue earlier in the season. Last game he played was the last week of September against Vandy. Then he was off for 6 weeks, and then he played 2 games, which he played about half the game, completed, played to the point where he attempted 10 or 12 passes against Mizzou and Charleston Southern, and then did not play against Georgia Tech. And then, of course, in the SEC championship game. Because if I'm running the show instead of Kirby Smart against Alabama, and we're down by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter where it's still a game, we still have a shot, but we need a spark. We need a reset. Even if I don't think Stetson Bennett's playing horribly, and I don't think he played horribly, except for that one pick was a backbreaker where he didn't see the safety, telegraphed it. That was a backbreaker. And Stetson Bennett can get away more easily, more effectively from the rush than JT Daniels. But if JT Daniels was healthy, I would be thinking Kirby Smart with 12, 14 minutes left in the game and down by 2 touchdowns. We're going to lose this game regardless of what I do, most likely. But we have about a 3% chance of winning if I just don't do anything. Let's bring in JT Daniels if he was an option in terms of health. I don't know that. So we posted a video on that. We caused quite a stir with our Lincoln Riley video. Check out our Lincoln Riley video. It's got like 44,000 views, which for my little operation is a big deal. Lincoln Riley into USC and his recruiting approach, we'll call it there. But Kyle, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Get a PO box. I'll pay the first year. Oh, PO box. That would be, hey, PO box, not a PO box. Yeah. And you know what I've been using here? We'll get these taken care of at some point. But I at least have been using my glasses because they will stay on my nose even though they're broken, even though I'm working with one side's completely gone and the other side's like slashed in the middle. So I have no excuse anymore. Kyle, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. P.O. Box. Again, there was a reason, probably helmets or other things that people wanted to send to me a couple of years ago. I looked into it and thought it's not worth it. I'm not going to go for it. But Kyle, thank you so much for that. I'll look into it. And everybody, I hope everybody that's listening to me right now is subscribed, because if you subscribe and hit that bell for the notifications to know when we go live, you'll know when we're going live tomorrow. And I'm thinking at this point that I really want to settle in for the Army-Navy game, and then we'll go live after the game. I found out just a few minutes before we went live tonight that I need to replace the headlight in my car. I went out for dinner with my son tonight. It was a heck of a time with my son. Great time with him. It was his birthday 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I usually see him on Sunday. And he's only off like 1 day a week. He's got a particular job, but he also has some clients. And so we finally settled on a date, and we went out for his birthday dinner tonight. So we had a great time having steak. And why did I say all that? No, I was driving home. And I got pulled over by the police, and I thought, I'm just like coasting down the road. I'm not speeding, but yeah, my headlight was out. I can't tell my headlights out. That doesn't. And what's funny is I passed a couple people with headlights off, and it dawned on me. I thought, why don't you get those fixed? Why don't you replace your headlights? So we'll be working on that in the morning. And then, man, I got so many video ideas during bowl season, and I just don't know if anyone's going to watch these. We're previewing the group of 5 bowl games, and nobody seems to be interested in that. And I get it, but I'll still do it. I just like to do it. Before we move on here, the Voice of College Football, I want to remind everyone that if you own a business like me, own a small business, or you want to own a small business, let's say you've always had an idea, you wanted to start a business, but you thought, okay, it's going to cost me some money to get started, and I don't have good credit. Well, it doesn't matter about your personal credit. It matters about Get Business Credit. That's what it matters. So check out our guy, Josh Van Horn. He's over on Get Business Credit on YouTube. Okay, right here on YouTube. Go to Get Business Credit and check out Josh's work over there. It's pretty amazing. He tells you how to access business lines of credit. You don't need to give up your social security number. You don't need to have exceptional personal credit. He'll show you how to do it. If I read one of these taglines verbatim, this is what it sounds like. Do you have bad or less than perfect personal credit, but need business funding or business credit? Head over to Josh Van Horn's YouTube channel. Get Business Credit. Let's say it all together. Get Business Credit. Okay. Josh's channel is exploding too. I am so thankful for all of you, and so thankful that our channel is doing well. It's having a great run here. But at the same time, I have at times I looked at other YouTube channels, not in the sports realm necessarily, and see, wow, this person's had a YouTube channel for 4 months and they've got like 100,000 subscribers. But each deal is different. Or you see YouTube channels where there are 13-year-old girls and they have like 800,000 subscribers, and they're like 13-year-old girls putting on makeup or talking about stupid things. Yeah. I had somebody tell me the other day that either somebody in their somebody in their extended family has a YouTube channel, and it's some girl who's like 16 years old. She's had a YouTube channel for 3 years since she was 13. And I think she talks about makeup or, clothes, and giggles a lot and whatever they do. And she's got like over 1 million subscribers. Just not nearly as many college football fans out there as we need, but we are growing. So thanks to all of you. And Kyle, thank you so much for hooking me up with the Po Box. That would be the Po Box. I thought I was like looking for what is the name of the fast food place? Po Boys? I've never been there. Dave is telling us that Maurice Clarett should have won the Heisman Trophy in 2002. That was not the Eric Crouch year, was it? Crouch was 2001. 2002. Who am I missing? 2002. Going blank. 03 was Jason White. 02. Hello. I know all my Heisman Trophy winners. I really do. I promise. Crouch. Wanky 2000. 01, 02. I'm drawing a blank on 2002. Had to be a quarterback. Joey Harrington didn't win. He was close. He didn't win. And I'm not going to look at the live chat for you guys to tell me because I want to get it. But I'm not going to sit here forever because it's going to annoy me. 2002. What am I missing? Who am I forgetting? 2002. This was before Leinart and Bush and then Young and Troy Smith. And I get every other year. For some reason, I can't think of 02. Crouch was 01. Oh, my word. 02. Ohio State and Miami in the championship game. It was not a Miami player. Was it a Florida State player? Because they almost played in the championship. No, it was not. Or was it... I'm thinking 2000 with 2002 was the almost Colorado, almost Oregon, Nebraska. Of course, that was 01 with Crouch. Wow. I am going to look at the, I am blanking on 02 and I'm going to run back here and I'm going to hit my head against the wall when I see, because I'm good on reciting Heisman winners back to about the late 50s. And somebody's going to give it to me, and I'm going to be mad at you. Oh, first we got to pick off the super chat here. We've got Austin here. When are you going to start doing a weekly Baylor show? Austin, here's the deal. And thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that, Austin. Austin Kaiser. Let's do a Baylor show when you get us a sponsor. Get us a sponsor for the Baylor show, and we will start up a Baylor show. Get us a sponsor. That's going to need to be key for all these shows. Unless we get just so many super chats in these shows, we may have to start ditching shows, unfortunately. I'm doing 7 right now. 7 live streams every week. Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Iowa, Florida State, Miami, Oklahoma, 2 Miamis each week. And then all these call-in shows, plus all these other records I do every day, all day. So we need to start sponsoring these. Addison says, hey, Mark Rogers. That would be Darren, not Derrick McFadden. Darren McFadden and Felix Jones were the greatest running backs of all time. They were the greatest running backs of all time. I believe Darren McFadden is the running back robbed of a Heisman because of Steve rumored say in it. Ha, he, ha. I'm not really following you, but I'm not following the whole deal. But yes, Darren McFadden in 07 was phenomenal. Felix Jones took a lot of carries and yards away from him, but 07 was Tim Tebow. That was one of those years where the Heisman winner didn't have a great team record, didn't vie for a championship. That was between the Florida championship teams. Tebow lost 4 games that year, still won the Heisman, scored a zillion touchdowns that year. So Addison likes Darren McFadden in 07. Yes, he was phenomenal. No doubt. Michael, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for that, Michael. Should I think about 02 before I cannot believe it's not, of course, an Ohio State player or Michigan State or Penn State or Wisconsin or Alabama, of course, had not won a Heisman at that point, or Auburn or LSU or Georgia or Florida or Florida State. 02. Why am I blanking on 02? Larry Johnson had a big year in 02. He had a huge season in 02, but he didn't win it. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, USC the 2 years after. Oh, Carson Palmer. Thank you, USC, Carson Palmer. Took me a while. I think I brushed by USC the first time because I thought, well, they had two right after that. They didn't. Penn State quarterback, yes. G. Bama boy. This is also on my list. Sean Clifford coming back for his 6th season. That dude will get Franklin fired, huh? Gee, Bama boy, come on. If anything, that dude is keeping James Franklin on the sideline. Sean Clifford has earned my respect. He's good. Yes, he's better than a decent quarterback. When you say decent, name me better quarterbacks than Sean Clifford. There's how many in the country? 10, 15? Not many. Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was tremendous. Yes, his numbers are crazy good. Crazy good. Kellen Moore's in college. If you joined me earlier, Swampy McGee, I was saying that Lamar Jackson should not have won the Heisman Trophy in 2016. I understand his numbers are off the charts, but did not play well down the stretch and did not play meaningful football in November. And Deshaun Watson was a ridiculous clutch performer that year. RG3, yes, good call. Austin was the NFL Rookie of the Year before he got injured, and he led the Redskins to the playoffs for the first time in forever. Had a really good season. Yes, excellent rookie season. And then once he hurt his knee, even though he could still kind of play after that, that was his game. You know, that was it for him. And now he's in the broadcast booth with Mark Jones. Yes, Cody. Andrew Luck did have a rough supporting cast offensive line, and he was not the kind of quarterback who could have gotten away with a porous offensive line. Tony Mandrich was supposed to win the Heisman in 89. Had a big year for Michigan State, was the biggest bust, one of the biggest busts in NFL draft history. And Tony Mandrich is amusingly sandwiched among all those future Hall of Famers in the 1989 NFL draft. Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman, Derrick Thomas, and you've got Tony Mandrich as the number 2 or 3 pick. Yeah, Kellen Moore's numbers are crazy. People are saying that Tijuana is saying that Dabo Swinney retired. Anytime you have some kind of crazy big news like that, you might want to Google that. Yes, right. I am. Nate is telling us if Jared Patterson had a full 2020 season, he would have rushed for 3,250 against your Buckeyes if that game was actually played. Maybe 250 against the Buckeyes and lost the game like 42-17. People thinking Dabo Swinney's going to retire? Really? Oh, we got some fun facts coming in here from Swampy McGee. Terry Baker was the only player to win the Heisman Trophy and play in the Final Four in the NCAA basketball tournament in the same school year. How about that? That would be similar to like a Kenny Lofton who played in the Final Four and then played Major League Baseball. Who is the only man to play in the NBA and coach a Super Bowl? How did that happen? Coached a Super Bowl, head coach in a Super Bowl. Actually, more than one. I didn't want to give it away. And was an NBA player and won an NBA championship. How crazy is that? Who was that? John Doe is letting us know that Baylor beat OU in 2011. That's what won RG3, the Heisman. I kind of remember that. John O'Corn. There you go. John O'Corn had a big year at Houston. John O'Corn. He did. Yes, people are letting me know. TCU, yes. I remember that big Thursday night game against TCU, but I just wasn't coming up with them. Baylor and Washington did have a crazy bowl game. What was the final score? Like 64-61 or 64-56? Yes. Yes, Gary Patterson. James is letting us know that Clemson is done. I knew they wouldn't be able to keep recruiting that high quality talent. They got lucky with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. They got lucky? I think they recruited and signed those players. I don't know that they got lucky. I'm not calling Clemson dead yet. Not going to do that. Toby Gerhardt. There's a Heisman candidate name from the past. Tommy Vardell, the same school, of course. Good call by Tony with Michael Vick. Fisher football likes Kenny Pickett to win the Heisman, took a average Pitt team to a major bowl game and the ACC championship. Pitt is your ACC champion. All right, let's skip down to the current comments. Super chat coming in. Appreciate that so much. Coming in from Dave. Darnell Autry, great name. We're getting so many great names. Darnell Autry should have won the Heisman in 95. He basically won a Big Ten championship with Northwestern, and he basically won a Big Ten championship with Northwestern. What am I missing there? It's the same thing. Again, Northwestern, Big Ten champion. Yes. And that doesn't seem crazy today. Northwestern, a Big Ten champion. But in 1995, coming out of the 80s and early 90s, that was crazy. I spoke with Brian Musso, who was a kind of a gadget player, jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife kind of player for a poor man's Christian McCaffrey for Northwestern. Brian Musso, son of the legendary Johnny Musso of Alabama fame. And he admitted to me, I didn't ask him to say this or try to pin him down. We were just talking. And Brian Musso said that they did not play Ohio State that season. So Northwestern finished 8-0, and Ohio State lost to Michigan to finish 7-1. So Northwestern then won the Big Ten championship and went to the Rose Bowl. Ohio State would have won the Big Ten title. Well, they would have tied, but Ohio State would have gone to the Rose Bowl because they had a better overall record. Odd year for Northwestern. That's not unusual. Northwestern has a lot of odd seasons. They went undefeated in the Big Ten in 95. They lost one game, which cost them a chance to play for the national championship. They lost to like Miami of Ohio out of conference. Anyway, Brian Musso told me, he said, Mark, you know, the team we didn't want to play this year or that year was Ohio State. This was only a couple of years later. This wasn't like 30 years later. This is only like in the late 90s, a couple of years later. He said, you know, when scouting all the other teams in the Big Ten, we would see game tape of Ohio State all the time and scouting the other teams, and we wanted no part of them. We were glad that they were not on our schedule. But Darnell Autry, let's look up those numbers, Dave, in recognition of you bringing up a great name from the past. And Also, if I can get this to cooperate, I need to buy another laptop. We're in the market again for a laptop as well. We should sign some kind of sponsor deal with Apple. That would be good. All right. Darnell Autry. 1995. That was his junior season. Ran for 1785, 4.6 per carry. So average per carry, not great. 17 touchdowns, 1 TD. So 1 TD receiving. So Eddie George scored 25 touchdowns. Autry, 18. Autry had about almost 200 less rushing yards. So you can see in a 4.6 average compared to 5.9. I know Eddie George played with a more talented team by far. I get your point, but I get it. It's good. It's a good call on your part, Dave. Makes sense. We've got Nate here says, if Buffalo played a full 2020 season, yeah, there it is. Jared Patterson would have rushed for 3,000 yards, and now it's 150. I thought it was 250 before against the Buckeyes. My Buckeyes, if that game was played. Buffalo with Khalil Mack in, what was the year? I want to say it was an Urban Meyer season, 2013. Khalil Mack. Was that too long ago? 2015? I'm going to say 2013. They played Ohio State really close at the shoe. Khalil Mack in Buffalo. I'm going to say that game was Buffalo was leading, and then the Buckeyes, they finally won like 27-13, something like that. Used to remember every score too, but that's not happening anymore. I believe I'm coming up on a super chat that I need to honor. Whoa. Who do we have here? Yes, Uncle Rico, Carson Palmer. I came up with it all on my own. I did it. I did not cheat. I did not peek. I hate when people give me answers because when I know it, I know it. But it just got lost in there. It was one of those. Uncle Rico wants a refund. Not giving you a refund, Uncle Rico. I did not ask for help. All right. Whoa. Who do we have here? We've got Dustin Miller. Just got to say, this is to ruffle somebody's feathers. How about Woodson winning it over Manning and Moss? Yeah. I was surprised. I was pretty shocked. I was living and working in SEC country at the time and covering the SEC. I thought Peyton Manning was going to win the Heisman. Everybody down there was shocked. How did I feel? I was pretty surprised. That might be the only year in which I was like really surprised. I was really surprised. I don't think that it was unjustified. Though they're, again, to my point earlier about different positions on the football field, they're very different players and with different responsibilities. And you cannot look at Charles Woodson from a statistical standpoint that year. Of course, he's not going to compile jaw-dropping statistics. He was a freak. He was a force. He was a guy that the other team did not want to throw to. Charles Woodson won the Heisman Trophy against Ohio State. You had Michigan 11-0. You had Ohio State, a top 4 team in the country, 10-1. And you had Charles Woodson intercept a pass in the end zone. You had him return a punt for a touchdown, and you had him catch a pass for like 40 yards on a touchdown drive. He did those three remarkable things. Remarkable. They were good plays that spotlighted him. And again, if you put statistics, which he didn't have that year, I'll look them up, but they can only be so overwhelming for a defensive player. But if you generally put stats with winning, with moments, with Heisman type moments, then that's the result. Or if there's a perception by the voters that that team could not do that without him. I don't know that Charles Woodson's numbers are going to really pop here, and I'm probably not on the site that's really going to give us those kind of numbers. No, they didn't keep track of defensive numbers. I wanted like tackles for loss, interceptions. The only thing I get here is he had 7 picks. He had 7 picks. Again, 1 against Ohio State, so 7 picks. He had 2 receiving touchdowns on 11 catches. He scored a rushing touchdown. And he had a punt return touchdown against the Ohio State. So he scored 4 touchdowns. And of course, he just shut down that side of the field. Kyle's coming back. Appreciate that, Kyle. You're the man, Kyle. Cousin Kenny for Heisman. Kenny Pickett. Hashtag Kenny Pickett. Crazy year for Kenny Pickett. And when is the next time Pitt is going to win an ACC championship? I just don't know if we're going to see that again. So congratulations to Kenny Pickett for at least getting the invite to New York. I don't know that that's going to turn out for him. All right, folks, we're looking at 12:30. We've been at it for, what, 2 hours? I think we are good to go. We've got one coming in here from Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. Yeah, that would have been like 2011, his big year. Charisse hopes C.J. Stroud wins the Heisman. He is not going to. Rashaan Salam, 1994, beast in college. They did not have a great team that year. I think they were like 10-3, Colorado, and but he just had overwhelming numbers that year. 1,800 yards, 20 some touchdowns, that kind of year. All right, folks. Appreciate everybody being here at the Voice of College Football. Please, again, if you are starting a small business, you've got a small business and want it to grow, need money, need financing, get business credit. Let me get it on the screen here. Get Business Credit. Head on over to the Get Business Credit channel here on YouTube. Bam, there it is. Get Business Credit. It flows, doesn't it? Get Business Credit with Josh Van Horn. He will show you, instruct you on how to get financing for your business. When you think that there's no way, you don't have the personal credit to get it done, You don't need to relinquish your social security number. You can get business credit now. So get on over there right here on YouTube. Josh Van Horn's a great guy, and he will get you all set up, and you can listen to what he's got right there. Get business credit. If you know of somebody who would like to sponsor the Voice of College Football, whether that's for the entire channel or there's a particular team that you would like to focus on, because let's say you're a business in Florida, you're close to Tallahassee, and we can offer you, of course, our Florida State show, our Florida State content, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, on and on and on. We've got just about all the major teams covered with a team-specific channel. No Arkansas, sorry. Ole Miss fans, sorry. Minnesota fans, sorry. Not everybody, almost everybody. There with Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas, Oregon, USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Michigan, Miami, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Texas A&M, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, LSU. Okay. So we are counting on you to help us get some sponsors. And again, if you own a business, you could benefit here. And we're reasonable. We are definitely reasonable. And we will deliver to you. Wow, 10 million views we hit. So that's about, we do about 500,000 a month on all the channels put together. And we're over that, well over 500,000 per month, but more than well over 400,000 here on the main channel this past month. So sponsor us here at the Voice of College Football. If you would like more details, hit me up at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. All right, everyone. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you being here. And we will catch you sometime tomorrow here on the Voice of College Football. Enjoy Army, Navy, the Heisman Trophy ceremony, anything else you got going on Saturday, whether that's Christmas cookies, got to do some baking, whether that's shopping, whatever you got going on Saturday, do it well, be good to yourself, and we will see you back here very soon, most likely sometime tomorrow. So be listening out for those notifications.